Oh, I've been waiting for a long time for a really good thriller, so this show was a breath of fresh air. Train is a 2020 South Korean sci-fi 12-episode television show starring Yoon. The show follows a detective, played by Yoon, Do-won, and basically he's investigating a serial killer who's been throwing bodies off of a train. He's trying to find this serial killer. Later on, he loses his ex-wife, Han Seo-kyung, played by the charming Kyung Soo-jin. Now, if you're new to this channel, please forgive me the way I pronounce South Korean names. I know I'm murdering it. Please forgive me. It's not on purpose. It's a part of this, growing up in the States thing. But anyways, he's tracking down this serial killer to bring this serial killer to justice. He has to go to an alternate dimension in order to do this. Now, this is not a spoiler. Anybody who's watched the trailer, this is, what he has to do. So that's the story, and that's the gist of the story, what's going on. So let's talk about what worked with this show, okay, and why I think this show is worth watching. I will say this was a very emotionally satisfying story. Although the storytelling had problems, it was an emotionally satisfying story. So let me just go over a couple of points of what worked with the show. Number one of the things that worked really well with the show is that the lead actor, Yoon. This is the second show that I've seen this guy in that he's played a role. Well, he's playing basically two different people in this show, and he did the same thing in the show Your Honor, which is also a pretty good comedy show. But this one is a thriller, and he plays this detective really well, and he plays the alternate of the detective really well. So he does a great job of creating different levels of emotion in every role that he plays. When I see Yoon in his acting, and I see how his voice inflection, his tone, his mannerisms, just little things that he does. This dude is extremely talented, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on his talent, and he deserves a lot more credit than he gets. So tips off to them for making this guy the lead character of this show. Another great thing that I loved was Kyung Soo-jin, who does a great job of playing two versions of Han Seo. Both of her portrayals are emotionally compelling. When she plays Han Seo in I'm going to say World A or Dimension A, and when she plays Han Seo in Dimension B, both of them are very compelling characters. And I fell in love with her, especially her dark portrayal when she plays the dark version of her character. And let me say this. Although the show has writing problems, which we're going to cover later on, it has an emotional depth in the story that makes up for all the writing mistakes. Because here's the thing. We've seen movies that the writing may be good, but the people who are playing the characters, they're not good at conveying emotions, or it doesn't resonate with you emotionally. And that's the thing about a good story. A good story is something that it resonates with you emotionally, and you would want to retell, you would want to re-experience. And that's something that this show does very well. It creates an emotion that makes up for even some of its worst writing mistakes. And that's very rare. A lot of South Korean shows that I see lately, they do a great job of writing, but they do a bad job of emotion because they're trying to manufacture it instead of making it real. Another thing I really liked about this show was the theme song. Another thing I really like about this show is the theme song. I'm gonna find you. Okay, I know my voice isn't the best, but yeah, that theme song was really cool, and very touching. It's a very touching theme song that covers the theme of the show. Another thing that really helped this show was the fact that it was 12 episodes instead of 16 episodes. Sometimes when shows are too long, if there's 16 or 32 episodes, the writers run out of story to tell, so they go down all these stupid rabbit holes. So when a movie is shorter, or when a TV show is shorter, it allows the writer to be a lot more focused and a lot more intentional about their writing, so that you're not bored, and that you're not rolling your eyes and seeing a bunch of stupid plot rabbit holes. One of the perfect examples that I would give is, if you've ever watched Stranger Things, or if you ever watched certain Netflix shows that are like 8 to 13 episodes long, the stories are definitely a lot more focused and thorough. You don't have to worry about them going on a bunch of weird tangents that are frustrating. So this show, the fact that it was 12 episodes instead of 16 episodes, actually helped the writing, actually helped the story be a lot more focused and smoother. One of the other things I really enjoyed about the show, which is one of my favorite scenes in the show, is the scene where Do-won first goes into the second dimension, or Dimension B, which it shows the level. And once again, this goes back to Yoon Shi-yoon and his acting, because this scene is like a huge plot point, and the emotion that Yoon Shi-yoon's shows and his acting in this one scene where he first travels to the second dimension, and he is ticked off. He's like ready to like hunt down this killer and like just murder them. But his determination to go into this next dimension, and he doesn't care what's coming his way. The way Yoon Shi-yoon plays this role, oh my goodness, like that one scene, like that's probably one of the best scenes in the show. His determination to just track down this killer. He jumps on that train. He takes his gun and he breaks through the window. Like this dude, like I love that scene. It's one of the most memorable scenes in the show. And one of the other things that I thought was really surprising about this show and that I enjoyed is I love how it deals with loss and regret, and how it talks about people that we've lost, how we should treat them when they're living versus when they're dead. It does a really amazing job of doing this. And the only comparison I can give to a show that does this pretty well is WandaVision. Because in WandaVision, the whole premise, the whole theme of WandaVision is dealing with loss. The theme of this show, Train, is also dealing with loss and loving those who you have and not taking them for granted. So yeah, definitely that was one of the strengths of the show. However, the show did have some problems. Now, the problems that the show had didn't completely, run it off of the rails, no pun intended. But nonetheless, there were two big issues that I had with the show. One was the villains were weak. They were not fully developed and fully realized villains. And that's one of the things I didn't like about the show. The villains weren't threatening enough, in my opinion. They seemed like they were going to be truly threatening or in any way, shape, or form. Second problem I had with the show is that the show had some really bad writing plot points. Okay, so let me give you an example of a plot point that they had that was frustrating. There's a scene in one of the first couple of episodes where one of the characters is tracking down, they go to this train where they know the serial killer has been throwing bodies off of the train periodically. And this female detective, she sees a body thrown off of or a suitcase thrown off the train. And naturally, if you're a detective, the first thing you're going to do if you see a suitcase thrown off of a train and you know that there's been a track record of serial killers or a serial killer throwing suitcases off a train that have dead bodies, you would look in the direction where the suitcase came from. Instead, what does the writer and the director decide to do? They decide to have the actress turn her back completely on the door where the serial killer just threw the suitcase and look at the suitcase first. Like, are you kidding me? Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, Who does that? And I know they did this in order to move the story forward into the next act, but come on, you have to find a better way to tell that. You have to find a better way to move to the next plot point without doing something so silly like that. It was just really ridiculous when they did that. It was, oh, I almost screamed at the stupidity of making that choice, you know? So, anyways, but having said that, I really took a shining to the show. It was emotionally satisfying, especially the very last scene of the TV show. It was very emotionally satisfying, and that's what most people look for when they're watching any movie that resonates. They're looking for not only just a good story, but a satisfyingly told story, and definitely Train is one of those. It's not Tunnel, but it's close. It's very close, you know. So I'm gonna give this show. I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. As far as the impression that it left on me and the rewatchability. But anyways, that's my review of the TV show Train. I know I've been gone for a long time. I'm sorry, guys. You know, life happens. But let me know what you think of the show. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What were things that you enjoyed? What were things that you did not enjoy? And please, 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 don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Peace.